Hello and welcome. When I think about source criticism, I think yet again about a teacher that directs the students on terms like false sources and source criticism. It's important that you should be aware of your sources and how you cite them, says the teacher. Whatever, I sigh. The clock ticks, and when the school day is finally over, I no longer think about source criticism. I don't really care about source criticism. It's just something you do at school, I think, and then I move on with my day without sacrificing a single thought about source criticism, because I just think that it's related to school. And what's the point of thinking about school when you're not even at school? Some days ago, my dad had his birthday, and I was on Facebook and saw the congratulations. I saw my dad himself had written that he was 49 with big letters. Ooh, I thought, Dad is 49 years old. I told my mother, and she answered, no, he's 52. So I was tricked by a classic false source. But why? I, who had already learned about fake sources in school, but was still exposed to a fake source. It seems like it's common to think that you can never get exposed to fake sources, but it's just then when you're the most vulnerable to fake sources. The thing with false sources is that you never think about it. It takes both energy and time to be properly source critical, as we are taught in school. We get this whole long checklist of things that we should do with sources, like how to explore who the sender is, what the sender's intentions are, or if it is correct with other sources or not. Well, I don't think it will work to provide strategies that require you to reflect on content when the fact is that you are most exposed to false sources when you don't even reflect on the content. Like when you're at home, after a long, tiresome day with school or work, you don't really care about checking what you read or listen to is correct or not. The thing is that we want to consume it, and it doesn't really matter if it's false or not. We just think it's interesting. I think we can mostly see this in children. They believe quickly that what they see on the internet is true. I remember really well, when I was a kid, I truly believed in the creepypasta legends, like Slenderman or Herobrine, because I watched YouTube videos that seemed very credible for a 12-year-old. This is why I believe in order to be so source critical, as efficient and as good as possible, it's not just study the science on a possible bad source, but to be curious, observant, and actually learn things. Afterwards, when I got older, my fear of Slenderman disappeared, because I understood that it wouldn't make any sense that he would exist in this world. Like, if he existed, then certainly there must have been investigations, and more people than just me must have seen him, I thought. It makes more sense for me that if I had seen the signs of Slenderman, I would have rather believed it would have been a crazy human or something. So I started to believe that Slenderman didn't exist because I started to know more about the world around me. A child falls more for false sources because the child doesn't know enough about the world. And I believe the same must apply for adults too. That you need to have a broad knowledge of the world in order to be less fooled by false knowledge that claims to be true. In order to have a well-functioning society and democracy, the population needs to be informed, which will then automatically keep potentially harmful false sources away. It's better to understand that the source that claims that the Prime Minister of Norway sniffed white powder with Putin in the Norwegian parliament is wrong, because Norway, or ICC, of which Norway is a member of, has an arrest warrant for Putin, so he can't even get to the parliament. And I also wouldn't have fallen for the source that was incorrect about my father's age if I had just known his age. Therefore, in a world where information is so easily accessible, I think it's important to not only depend on the information outside of oneself, but also to keep knowledge inside of one's own head too. For example, when people raise their hands in a classroom and answer smartly on some question the teacher asked, with lots of technical terms and complicated language that the teacher really, really likes, I can see that ChatGPT is on the screen. So when you don't have access to either the PC or the phone, like in an oral exam, you are left with actual no knowledge yourself. This is what I believe is the most dangerous, because the more you hand over your critical thinking and your knowledge to the technology or other people, the more vulnerable you are to believe in something that is untrue. Therefore, working well with sources means that you are someone who is eager to learn, who is observant, and who is curious, because you have a greater protection from false sources than someone who knows nothing. And together, we can filter out the false sources and secure the community and democracy more. Goodbye!